All right. All right. Nice. So it is my absolute pleasure to reintroduce our expert for the evening, Mr. Ndiana, who is a senior user experience designer at Transactor BDC, where he designs solutions in a fast-paced world of fintech. He was generous enough to join us previously. He shared our knowledge. He shared his knowledge rather with us in the previous expert session that we've had for this track, and tonight he's back to help us understand or level up our understanding of what it truly takes to succeed as a design professional. So, Mr. Indiana, thank you so much for joining us again. We're very excited to have you and to learn from you. So, I'll just let you maybe introduce yourself if you want to do that again and share a bit about yourself before we move into the Q&A. And maybe the people on the call can introduce themselves if they would like to speak.
All right. Yeah. Can you hear me? Can
We
you
can't
hear
hear
me?
you. I can't hear you.
A minute.
Okay, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
All right. I just wanted to be sure, Ma. If you can hear me, that's fine. We can continue. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
All right. Yeah. So, guys, good evening. Yeah, it's evening where we are as well. So, my name is Indiana, and I'm a senior UI UX designer. I specialize more with the UX part of it, like user experience. And I've been doing this for about 8 to 9 years now, and we are still counting. Yeah, I think I normally tell people I began my career as a front end designer, then moved, or I would say I began as a digital marketer, yeah, then moved to front end. I do a bit of here and there, just I do some back end as well, but I don't really specialize on all those because I find passion in UI UX, and I've been doing that for about 8 years, about 9 years now, just close to 9 years now, and we've been counting. I know sometimes when I say people I'm doing about 9 years now, they're always like, "How old is this young man?" I'm quite very young as well. I'm just in my early 30s, so I was privileged to start early enough while I was in Nigeria. That was when people did not really embrace UI UX. Most companies did not even know what UI UX was. So we did not, there was no job opportunity for us. So because of that, we had a good advantage of having international jobs come in very early for us, even while we're in Nigeria. So that was the privilege of starting early. I always tell people glad we started early because where I am right now is still the people I've been working for so many years, and started as a consultant, sorry, freelance. They brought me in as a permanent staff. Before you know it, I find myself in the United Kingdom. We are just moving that way, but that is it. So, guys, so nice to meet you. For those of you who know, I don't think I have anyone who is a returning student. I don't know, but it's good to meet you again, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Sara Foundation, for the invite. Though I was on holiday, we had to cut our holiday short small, just to try and make sure I'm available today.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Yeah. So where do we start? We start from, I think I got a list of questions. I think we should start from that questions, right? Is that okay?
Yeah. Do you want me to share my screen, to open it and share my screen so you can read from my screen?
Oh, that's fine, please. Yeah.
All right, I'll do that.
I know some of those questions were a bit repetitive, right? Kind of.
Yeah. So you could skip if you feel like you've
Yeah.
already started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could.
All right. We can. Yeah.
So just hold on while I share my screen.
I can still check mine. I should have it on my chat though.
So they can see it as
Okay.
well.
All
Okay.
right. That makes sense. Yeah.
All right. Is it is it visible?
Yeah, it is. Okay. So the first question is, what is one unexpected challenge you face at Transactor BDC that has tested your skills in a new way? Amazing. I think when I saw that question, I just laughed because it was almost like I'm being interviewed for a role. Yeah, I'm serious, and I was recently I've been trying new opportunities. I got a new opportunity. Let me not have been trying to work with JD Sports. Like for those of you who don't know, they partner with Adidas. So recently I've been opportunity to do some stuff, and that was one of the questions they asked me. So when I saw that question, I was like, oh, really? Hope you were not the person that actually interviewed me. But that was it, yeah. So for me, one of the unexpected challenge I faced at Transactor is if for those it's a fintech application, it's a fintech company, and one thing financial institution is big on is in compliance and regulation. So one of the big challenge was having to make sure that users that you stay compliant in every of your process, in every of your user journey. So how will I put it? Assuming, let's assume, the idea is that you need to streamline your onboarding process. For those I'm sure, I'm sorry, let me just confirm. Based on what I'm talking, this should be people that are about to graduate from their UI UX course, right? So they know
Yes.
everything going to say, okay, lovely, yeah. Now, so I can use those jargons and you understand. So um onboarding process in financial institution is one of the most dicey thing one can always face, a UI UX designer would face, because every step is important and you cannot really skip them because of compliance and regulatory bodies. So if you want to, in financial institution, your name, your location, your sex, your reason why you want to create your account, and why you need to make the transaction, everything has to be on required. So you can't really skip. So navigating regulatory constraints while designing for user center and for user experience was one of the most difficult part of it, because I have to adapt my UX strategies to comply with the strict financial laws, and also make sure that at the same time I stay creative and I still solve problems. So um what we did was to introduce a progress bar. Let's say, welcome to Transactor. Can we start by getting your name? We just make it a bit engaging. So the end user say, okay, yeah, my name is this, this, and this. And I'll say, oh, thank you, well done, or good. Nice meeting you, Emedion. Emedion, can we know a lady? How do you associate with male or female? You say male. Oh, welcome, thank you. So we ask this question in a very engaging way. So now tell us what you want to use your account for. I now say, we gave you option 1.1. You now say others. So you can choose to write it. So we made the onboarding process very engaging in such a way that even when you are filling your email, your address, you don't know you don't really feel as if you are doing so much work, because we made it so easy. Hi, Emedian, can we get your email now? Okay, we've just sent you a verification code. Check your email to confirm. When you click that, say, okay, now the last thing, let's get you verified. So those kind of engagement, instead of saying verification, we made it in just like a story. So how we solve that compliance issue was by how we introduce storytelling into our onboarding process. That made it very easy for all of us. So I think that was what I did not see it coming. So it was not expected, because I didn't know how tedious it would be. But of course, there are so many things when it comes to UI UX. Most of the designs most of the experience or feedback you are going to get from your users are unpredictable, unexpected. But you have to be smart. That's where experience comes in. That's where you have mentors. You can always speak with people, ask people around that have experienced the kind of thing that you are facing now. Hey, I'm just experiencing an issue with a particular research? How do I synthesize this research? They will give you a good way on how you can narrow down your findings. So that is it. What else? What else can I ask? Another, is that fine? Any question?
Oh, let me check.
All right. Okay, so let's move on to number 2, right? Number 2 says, after reflecting on your previous session, was there anything you wish you had emphasized more for a group of aspiring designers about to enter the tech landscape? Maybe I would say I would have emphasized more on the value of storytelling in design. So, like I just said now, how to communicate your process, your rationale, and your user impact. So, I think most of the challenge, or most of the weakness, I will use that word, most of early junior designers have is they focus more on visual design and they forget the story part of it. So they focus more on the visual part of it, and they forget that design is about storytelling. So every of your design should tell a story. Every of your elements should tell a story, to talk about something. So you need to focus more on the value of storytelling in design, how to communicate your process, why you put this thing, what the rationale behind everything, and also maybe in your portfolio, you can talk about the impact that the impact that your design had to real users. So I think I will focus more on the impact storytelling as well. Is that all right, guys? Okay. What else? How do you personally combat creative block and burnout, especially when working on long projects? The first thing I normally say is creative block. The first thing I normally say, once you hit creative block, stop it. Stop the project. It's just unfortunate that you guys, most of you are in Nigeria, where your employee will want you to work and kill yourself. Meanwhile, where we are, if you work and you know that you are no longer creative, sometimes you can take a nap, you can maybe just finally take a walk, go to the back, just find a place, maybe take a coffee, maybe do something game, go to the game room and play games. Just to get your brain, just take your mind away from the work. When you come back, you realize that you are more in tune with what you are doing. But in most places, especially in Nigeria where we started, they want you to sit down from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock and be creative, and they expect you can't be that creative. We are humans, especially when it comes to design. You do 1 or 2, 4, 5, 2, 3 screens, you're tired. Like, you are very tired, and your brain need to do something else, especially when you are not just designing. You are designing based on users feedback. You are designing and you are testing. You are designing and you are testing with your cross-functional team. You don't want to get to a point where you are burnt out. So my advice would be that you I don't know, Emedion, is it possible maybe you just stop sharing your screen, because you're sharing a couple of other personal stuff, so that we can, yeah, maybe I can use mine, I can read out, I can share mine if that's fine.
All right, sorry. I'll stop sharing.
So that you, maybe let me find a way and share mine. Or I can read out, let me just share mine. Yeah. I think I have it on my, just to make it easy for me to, yeah. So I would say that you can just stop what you were doing and do something else. Sometimes you can try another project. Maybe it could be that the current one you were doing is just stressful. Look for another project, do something fresh. That can also help. Another thing that might help is to another thing that might help you very well would be maybe you switch context. What I mean switch context, maybe if you were doing prototyping, you can rather do sketching. Maybe you are sketching the idea, because sometimes you're trying to design. Most of the early mistake I made was I just jump into design. I don't sketch properly. I just jump into designing. So at that point, you get confused and you definitely hit your in burnout or your creative block easily than someone who have sketched the idea first. Then I'll also say take a break and revisit user problem to check if your creativity is no, it's like to check if you are really in tune with what you're doing. Because if you check your user problem and you know, okay, this was the problem I was supposed to solve. Am I solving it now? Yes or no? If I'm solving it now, fine. If I'm not solving it now, what do I do? So that can also help you. So my advice would be instead of focusing more on just having to design, I think you should rather focus more on taking a break, because once you are mentally ready, you will definitely work better than someone who is just working from morning to night. So let me share my screen now, like I said, guys. Share screen. Window. Yep. Kindly confirm when you see it.
All right, we can see it.
All right, that's fine. So we can do now. We can move to beyond technical skills, tools in like Figma. What are your core soft skills that truly separate a junior designer from a senior designer? This is very important question. That's a very, very important question. So I think what really separates most of them senior designers from junior designers are basically soft skills, fun enough, because some junior designers are very good in design. So it's not just about how good you are in your design. So most of the core skills I would say you really need as a person, as a designer, I'm so sure you've been hearing it over and over again, is one number one is your empathy. You must always design for the users. Empathy. You must always want to solve a problem. I always say this, never you design for yourself. Don't design based on your preference. It's not about you. As a UI UX designer, you are the least important person. Your user is more important than you in the context of your product. I'm not saying I'm not talking about in context of life, in the context of your product. You are the least important person. Your users are more important than you. So whatever feedback they give to you, you cannot sweep it under the carpet. They are very important. Then apart from empathy, I would say your communication skill is very important, because no company want to employ you if you can't communicate your products. You can't communicate your rationale. You can't communicate your idea, because there's what we call stand up. Some company has every morning, some do it once in a week, some do it twice in a week, some do it on Monday, maybe Friday. That's what we call stand up. During your stand up session, you want to be able to communicate. So you need to also work on your communication skills. Then strategic thinking is okay, always thinking, how might we, who are we targeting, who is our target audience, always thinking of something. Strategic thinking, how do we solve this problem, how do we make life easy for the users? Those are the questions we keep asking every time. How might we, who are we designing this product for, who is going to use this product, how will it make life easy for them, how will they achieve their tasks easily enough? I mean, the early, how do I want to use the right word? How will they achieve their tasks at the right time without spending so much time doing what they are not supposed to do, without confusion? How do I go straight to the point? So you also need to have a good strategic thinking mindset. Then also, what else? Stakeholders management. That is very important, because you want to manage your stakeholders. You want to be able to make sure that by stakeholders, I mean like the product manager, the product design, the maybe researcher, if there's a researcher in your team, marketing manager, the engineers, the front-end developers, and the business executives. Those are still stakeholders. Your users are even stakeholders, part of your project. So you need to learn how to manage them. Then another thing is adaptability. How do you adapt to adapt in a situation? Let's say you don't have all the data you need to do a design. How do you adapt? How do you adapt when there's less funds? How do you adapt when there's less time? Maybe they give you a project to deliver in 1 week. How do you adapt? Yeah, it's called pressure, but I'll call it adaptability. So how do you adapt in that situation? How do you manage that kind of situation? So it is a skill that we need to learn. So I would say focus on your soft skills, empathy, adaptability, stakeholders management, creative thinking. What else did I mention? I think I mentioned, what else did I mention? Your communication. Yeah, I think those are the 4 or 5 things I mentioned. I think I want to stop to ask. I don't want to ask question. Any question, guys? If not, just unmute and tell me continue. Apart from a medium, let me be sure I'm talking to real people. If no question,
you can say something.
let me just be sure I'm speaking with the right people, please. If you are,
Marvelous. Jacob, Sam, Itoro, somebody unmute and say something if you're paying attention.
okay. So obviously they were not really. They are just in the call, but they are not listening. Then, yeah.
Yeah, listening, sir. Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit that it's noisy. That's why.
Okay,
Okay.
Jacob too said he's in church, so I mean he's in transit rather.
Yeah, you can mute now. I just wanted to be sure that people are listening to me.
They are listening.
Okay. So the number 5 question was: could you describe how your personal design process and day-to-day responsibility evolve as you transition into a senior role? Interesting. I didn't see that question. Okay, so my design process is just I think I follow the regular design process everybody knows, where you empathize, more like you dig deep by understanding the users, knowing their pain point, their frustration. Yeah, I mean everybody follows the same design process. Then you ideate. In ideation, you synthesize your findings into you define. Now did I say ideate? You define your this thing, your problem, where you synthesize your findings and you begin to build your user journey, your jobs to be done, your empathy map, your affinity mapping. Then you check your user stories, build your personals, and model them to your target audience or who is going to use your product. Then afterwards, I get into the ideation, where I brainstorm multiple solutions across various departments, maybe with the stakeholders like the product managers, the marketing managers, the engineers, asking them if there could be any constraint. So because you don't just design and think that your developers will be able to do what you design. That's why it's always good to bring them in early in your development stage, in your design process. Because what if you design something and they say, this thing is not possible to develop? You now end up doing something that was not necessary, or you wasted your time, especially in a product with time constraint, when there's a time constraint. So I bring them in very early. Excuse me, please. I bring them in very early in my mostly in the ideation stage, when we are brainstorming our solutions. I bring them in so that they can also know what we are doing. Then, of course, after that one, I go ahead to build a prototype. It could be high fidelity, it could be mid fidelity. It all depends on the scope of the project, right? Yeah, there's nothing like say you must always do low or high first. But advisably, we advise you do a mid fidelity. You don't just go straight to high fidelity. And you are doing that after you've done your sketching, by the way. Remember your sketching, because it's very important. It makes your work easy for you if you've sketched your wireframe. Yeah. So I'll do that, then do testing. what most people don't know. We spend more time in our testing even than when we are designing, because we need to be sure that we are that before we start developing the product, that the prototype meet a requirement, meet a requirement. I would have loved to show you a particular project that we currently work on, but for where we've spent about 3 months now just testing the product, 3 screens alone, and we're testing it over and over and over again, just to be sure that before we start developing it, that it will meet the need of our users. But that is cool. That's wow. That's how important testing process is. So you cannot ignore it, because imagine spending millions of pounds to develop a product only to realize that that's not what your users want. How will you feel? You get right. That will be a waste of time. In fact, they will sack you first. You won't have your job again. Yeah, and maybe the developers too will not have their job again. So it will start from all the design team will leave. They will sack all of them, because no company have that kind of patience to waste money. So I say, instead of wasting so much time developing products, why not build a prototype and test it first before you develop? So that's what I also always do. So that's how my day-to-day activity has been as transition. And it has not changed. There's no much different from being a junior designer and a senior designer. I don't want to say make it look as if it is easy to be a senior designer, but both of us, we work. As a junior person in my team that I lead, they still work. Most of them, they even work more than me, and they have, some of them even have good creative skills than I do. I'm going to use that word. They have even more creative skills that I do. I'm not afraid to say that we learn always. We still learn. Some of them know certain things that I don't know. I'm like, oh, how did you do this? And they show me. And I do think I do things as well. I'm like, wait, what did you achieve here? What did you do? And like, oh, this is what I did. Also, we learn every day. That's one thing about learning. Nobody stop learning, especially in design. You look at people's website application and you learn some things from it. I can't mention how many websites I have in my phone where I've just downloaded just to see, explore how it is. Once I'm done, I delete it. I don't have need for it. I just want to explore, see what people are doing. So that's the same thing that happens. People we learn every day. So from me, my role just keep evolving. It keep transitioning, and there's no, like, say, much different. The only much different would come when it comes to leadership. When you are leading a team, you need to design, and you're also leading a team, making sure that you report to the management what is happening, feedback, research. You're handling research team, you're handling the design, you're handling the those that are doing writing, because even in UI UX, there's what you call UX writers, that the ones that write all the content you need for your application or your website. So those ones are also manage them. Like, there's so much to do. Apart from designing, with the only difference is about the management part of it, where you have to manage every productivity and all those things. So I would say the best for now, just focus on designing your user research and making sure you solve the right problem. Then when it's time to get into a senior role, it will come. I don't think you should focus on the senior role right now, because you won't last. You won't last, because you realize that it's beyond design. Design alone is not enough. The problem you solve, how you can synthesize your data, how you analyze your testing is very important. Okay, I don't know if there's any question on the back on this thing. I can continue, right? No question on the group, okay. I think I will skip some questions. Let me see, which one do we skip? Could you describe your personal design? What's the most effective way for aspiring designers to find and benefit from mentorship? I will not talk too much on that. I will just say, go on LinkedIn, look for people, reach out to them, introduce yourself, attend programs. If you're in Lagos, in Abuja, I know there's a couple of programs that in Lagos, and a design program. I can always, maybe once I know, I always hear them. Maybe I can share with them, maybe once a year she might put on the group. I have a community of designers where we always have some meet and greets, and people do that a lot, especially when they're in Nigeria. If I come in Nigeria, I think I do one or two. So we might always that's another way that helping you to meet people, attend tech programs, go to conferences, meet people, chat people up on LinkedIn. One of the person that teaches in my academy, she met me on LinkedIn. She chatted me up, and before you know it, before we got talking, and she's a good mentor now in the academy I run as well. So I mean, meet people, and people also recommend others for jobs. So I would say don't stay in the house. Like, when I mean don't stay in the house, I mean chat people out. Oh, I'm just learning UI UX right now. What are the things I need to know? Would you like to mentor me? I've gone through your portfolio. If you have time, would you be able to maybe just give me one or two things I need to know? Like, I mean, they can help you. People do that a lot in my DM, and the day I have time, I respond to. If I don't have time, that I can just maybe the next day I respond to, depending on how busy I am. So you can meet people on LinkedIn, conferences, and chat them up. How do you balance users' needs with stakeholders? I think I need to answer this question. How do you balance users' needs with stakeholders' business goals? I think it's one of the you need to realize that let me use this word. As a designer, if you design only for the users, you will be a good designer, you'll be a good advocate for the users, but you also need to consider the business. So a business want to make profit, business want to grow. It is the business that pays you, right? So when you're designing, you need to first understand what is the business goals, what is my core KPI. And you do that by having interviewing the stakeholders, the business executive. Sit down with maybe your manager or depending on who you report to. Ask the person the question: what is the core KPI? What is the business objective? Once you establish that one, you now speak with your researcher or you run your own session and ask the users what their pain point is. Once you understand their pain point, you now bring together the two in business objective and the user pain point and look for an overlap. When I mean overlap, an intersection where you need to know, okay, this is at this point this is what the business wants, this is what the users want. How do we balance the two? So you need to know that. Don't be afraid to advocate for the users here, but also always put your business into consideration, because your business goal need to be aligned with your design. So I would say I need to first understand what the business goal is. I always try as much as possible to understand what the business goal is. Then once I've done that, I can now do whatever I can now tailor that down into my design. Let me use that word here. So understand what your business goal is first. Then you can now know how to design for the users. But please don't be afraid of advocating for the users, because you cannot, let me use the right word, you cannot trade users' trust for a short-term business objective. Let me use it again. You cannot trade users' trust, users' experience for a short-term business objective. So make sure that, okay, users want to how do I call it? Users want to see the breakdown of your maybe transaction. Let me use my company now, your transaction early. But we realize that when users see the breakdown early, they don't want to continue because the price already turned them off. So we want to take it towards the end. Now that is going to be a bad user experience. However, that will make the business make more money. So in that case, what do you do? But in the long run is that you will not have a returning user come to your website or come on your platform, because once they get to that point, oh, okay, let me pay, but I'm not going to use these guys again. So in that case, you would rather prefer to put the breakdown at the home screen, so that you know that whoever wants to make that payment will definitely be a returning user. It was the person's decision to continue, not because you hid it somewhere and the person now saw it towards the end at the confirmation page. You understand what I'm trying to say now? At that point, that was a short-term business objective, and you now trade it for user trust and experience. So you cannot do that. What more question do I answer? Working in fintech at Transactor, what are the unique UX challenge you face concerning user trust, data security, simplifying complex financial information? I think I've answered this at the early stage. Compliance was one of the biggest thing. And when it comes to finance, most people always have trust issues. So that one is a normal thing. It's money. So people always trust. Are they real, especially for the first time? Is this company real? Are they really doing? Are they going to deliver my money? So I would say it's a no. I wouldn't really dive deep on that question. 10. What tools are must have in your current design stack? Normally, we will say Figma, which is a normal thing. Everybody wants to use Figma. So Figma is fine. FigJam is a part of Figma where you use for wireframing. You can use Notion. I think I use Notion to document my process. Then now I use Protopie for my prototyping. Then what else do I use? I use Stack for accessibility. So when I'm designing, I can just type out the tools I use so that you guys can see on the group. Let me type out the tools I use in case you want to check them out. Figma and FigJam. I use I've typed them out in just I use Protopie for prototyping. Though you can still do prototyping with Figma, but for whatever reason, my company will use Protopie. So I use that for prototyping. It's very lovely, by the way. It's very lovely, and you will definitely enjoy it. Though it's premium, it's paid to platform. So I would just advise for at the start, try to use Figma for your prototyping. You can really do whatever Protopie does in your Figma. So anyone here still having issue with prototyping, by the way? Anyone still having issue with prototyping? You want to learn more on prototyping? You can drop on the chat. Okay. I believe we are good with prototyping. Sara Foundation, you guys are doing a great job then. Because I know that's one of the biggest challenge most users, designers normally have, how to prototype effectively. But that's fine. So, I mean, I've dropped the tools I use there, guys. What else? Any question? What else? I want to talk about portfolio. There was a question that spoke about portfolio. Oh, yes, I've seen it. What does successful collaboration between UX designer and product manager? I think I've answered that. In collaboration, you need to make sure that you listen, and making sure one of the greatest soft skill you would need is listening skills, making sure that you understand the rationale behind every criticism. So if they tell you we don't like this thing, never take it personal. Feedback can come in very strong sometimes, but don't take it personal. It's really not about who is right or wrong. It's about looking for a common ground to solve users' needs and business goals. So when maybe an engineer or a marketing manager tell me, can we do this way? This is what my users are saying in the market. I always try as much as possible to know where they are coming from, their rationale behind every feedback. So once you understand their rationale behind every feedback, if you think that doesn't sit well with your design based on your experience, you can suggest a usability testing where you do A/B testing. You build a prototype of what you are suggesting. You can just try that and you test it and see. Then once you have data to back up your evidence, you can now tell them, okay, this is it. I mean, there are a couple of usability testing you can try. There's one we call guerrilla testing. It's a very fast testing where you can just quickly test, maybe with your colleagues, you just go to the mall, you go to the church, depending on where you are, just ask people questions, give them your application to use. In fact, today I tested an application, a website today. I used my wife as my user. I just sat down and I watched her use it, and I saw a mistake. And I was like, okay, this is a mistake. Without her saying anything, and without me telling her what to do, just give someone your platform to use. That's called guerrilla testing. So she was testing, and I was looking at it, and I saw a mistake. A particular link was broken, and this is my prototype. And that was what we tested. You understand? And I realized, okay, there's a mistake here. And I was like, okay, can we do this? Can we do this? And maybe I think what I can even do, I can show you a real-time project that I tested my app. Sarah, Emedion, is that okay? I just showed them. I think they might learn better if I show them my screen.
Sure, of course. Go ahead, please.
All right, that's fine. Let me just show you a prototype of what we tested today. All right, where is this screen? Just show just that screen alone. So this was what we were doing. I don't know if it's showing properly on your screen, and we needed to test it. I wanted to be sure that the prototype works. Sorry, just give me a sec. So I need to check that this works. All right, so this is it. I wanted to be sure that this works. Let me restart. And this is like a simple landing page. I wanted to make it more interactive, that if your cursor gets here, we see what users are doing. And we realized that the link were not linked properly. So what we did was to just, I watched her do the testing. I did not like the experience. I did not like the way it's here moving very fast. I don't like the fact that it's moving so fast. And that was what I discovered while she was working. I'm like, okay, anytime once I'm ready, I'm going to rework on the speed. I think the speed is too fast. I feel it's just too, it's not just coming out well. And I began to ask a couple of questions. I'm like, okay, this is not showing well. This show is not nice, well aligned. I mean, those were the things that I just kept asking. Okay, is this thing showing properly? Why is it not moving properly? And I'm watching her do it. I'm watching her test work on the application, the website, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to change this place. I'm going to change here. Now, imagine it was after we've developed this thing that I realized that there was an issue. You know what would have happened? The engineers will be angry with you, developers will be angry with you, and they're like, why didn't you tell me this early enough? So testing is very important. That's why I say sometimes you have to build a prototype and test it first before you even start developing. Is that okay, guys? Any question? Any question? Okay, so we go back to another question. I think this might be the last, I think so. On portfolio, what are the most common mistakes you see in beginners portfolio? Yeah, I will balance that one with, when reviewing portfolios, what distinguishes good portfolio from a great one? I'm going to balance those two. I think that might be the last. Any other thing I need to answer here on portfolio? Okay, I will talk about AI later. Yeah, so let's talk about portfolio. So for me, portfolio, I think what really I normally check in most of the mistake most users or most designers make in their portfolio is there's no clarity. They have too much focus on visuals. So they put so many screens in their portfolio, so many screens showing you different screens upon screen. just showing you so many screens. I mean, but nobody wants to know about your screen. Nobody asks about show me your screen in your portfolio. Maybe 2 or 3 screens is enough. Max 5, like maximum. Just at 5. That's enough. So what people will normally ask about would be how do I call it? What they will definitely ask about would be insight, your user journey. Maybe I should show you my own portfolio. I think this what will make sense. Let me open my portfolio and show you. Yeah, enough of story. I'm not saying my portfolio is the best, but it can guide you. It can guide you in it can really help you if you're when you're working on yours. Let me share my portfolio with you guys. My portfolio might not be the best, but this is it. I don't have so many screens. I don't have so many projects in it. What I just do is maybe my home, about me, portfolio, but that's not what I need. That's not what I've not added those ones. These are little things I've done in my portfolio. All I do is show you who am I. This is me, my name, what I do, then my design process, how I did my design. These are my design process. I mean, you might not have the skill to design yours this way. Please, you might not have a developer to do it. You can do something simple, but go straight to the point. Make sure you talk about your design process, your philosophy, then show some of your projects that you've done. These are a couple of projects I've done. I just put 4 of my project. I don't put much. I don't need to put so many projects. Then I talk about my experience. I talk about my community, and that's just basic things. Then when they open your portfolio, it is very important that you let me open one project, let's say Transactor, what I'm currently working on, that you go straight to the point, talk about the project, what the project was all about. Notice I'm not using so many screens. I talk about the tasks I did. My first task was to understand the user. So I thought you are not showing screen, but you are telling them your process. Then based on the research, we defined 3 personas. These were the personas that we built. It's not showing, the names not, the pictures are not showing. I don't know why, sure. Okay, I don't know why, but I think the pictures were showing. I put my user story. I'm not putting so many screens because they want to know your process. Once you are done, then I now bring my screens in. Okay, these were my screens. See what I did on my screens. I just brought a bit of animation just to make it sure that okay, I know what I'm doing just a bit. Then I show my usability testing. I show the results we had while we're testing our insight, what we came up with. So there's not so much screens, just basic 1 or 2 screens. Then we showed my outcome, impact that my design made to the users based on my user research, everything that we achieved. So I'm not putting so many details. It's not about how many screens you want to show, but about the impact that your design made. Okay, so don't show us so many things, so many screens. Show us, go straight to the point, talk about your design process, talk about how you go about your design, how you collaborate, how many people were in your team. You can just show us that. You don't need to tell us how many months it lasts. Nobody wants to know that. It can even be a turn off. Someone will like, oh, all your project lasts 3-4 months. I need someone to do something in 2 weeks. So they won't call it because you always say, oh, this project lasted 10 months, lasted 2 years. I mean, you don't need to tell me how long your project lasted, right? So just go straight to the point. I feel one of the most mistake designers make is always putting too much details, always showing too many things. Any question, guys, before I move on? Any question? So when you are designing, in conclusion, when you're designing, make sure that your design stands out. And to do that, I will give you 4 or 5 points. Number 1 point is clarity in thinking. Make sure that you think that there's clarity in what you are doing. Show your end-to-end process, like I showed you, how I started and how it ended. Show your real insight. I showed you the insight. what we based on our usability testing, then reflection on what worked and what didn't work. If you read through my portfolio, I can share the link with you. You see that I spoke about the mistakes that we made. I spoke about the lessons that we learned, and we still learn every day. You can take a portfolio just to learn what I've said, guruofclarity.com. You can just take my portfolio at your spare time and see what I've done. See how I listed the experience, I listed the testing of and the results of what we had. That can help you guys. Then, any question before I go to the final question, guys? Hello, guys. Any question? Go ahead and ask, please.
So I joined late right now. So can you hear me, sir?
We can hear you, Christian, right? Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I
Yes,
can
so
hear you.
I don't know if you've already covered. I don't know if you've already covered the part of moonboarding and user flow. So that's one of the issues we are currently having in our projects.
Okay. Onboarding and what? User flow.
Moonboarding.
Onboarding, right? See, I got you well.
Moonboarding, like collecting reference design that can directly translate into what we want to design.
Sorry, your line is breaking. I know you're saying collecting. Is this a collecting data to translate into your design?
No, I said reference. Moonboarding, like collecting reference designs.
Moonboarding. Oh shit! Sorry. I
Yes,
didn't get
sir.
that. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I
Network
didn't.
isn't good.
I didn't. So I mean, you can. For me, I think it's moonboarding is good. It's very good because it's you can always make reference to people's design, and it depends on what project you are doing. You don't really need to copy people, but you can always steal as a designer. I always say you can steal as a designer. Check out what works in 3, 4, 5 designs and bring them into your design. Make yours. That's one at the early stage that you are right now. So, do you want to share what the scope of your project is? I can give you a guide. Maybe from there we can talk about it now. Okay.
So it's more of like, can you hear me? I'm sorry, my
Yeah,
network isn't so good.
I can hear you.
So it's more of a platform where people like enter, let's say, a prompt based. It's more of a prompt based platform where people get back UI generated with code, right? So right now, if two things we want to do is just to like know, I guess, know what works in that space. And that's the research that we are finding difficult.
Okay. So when you put the prompt, you got UI generated what?
UI.
Okay, like a pre-designed template for maybe website and all stuff, right?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's a massive project, right?
Yes, sir.
That's a massive project. Are you building it as a SaaS or you are building it is it like a software as a service you are building, or how do you build it? Do you want to work
Yes, sir.
like
It's a software as a service.
a software as a service? Okay. So I think what you would do
Yes, sir.
is to first make reference to Framer. Look at Framer, what Framer does. Take your time and look at Framer. Look at this new Figma site. There's what we call Figma sites. If you follow the new release 3 or 4 months ago about in Figma, there's what we call Figma site. Look at Figma site. Make reference to them. They might guide you in your moonboarding to know, okay, this is what is working in the sector. Make reference to those two platforms. They will really help your team. So Framer, look at Figma site, because most likely you have to look at the beta interface to make sure, and you're going to integrate AI prompt. So you will need a voice prompt, right, in your AI as well. So you can, is that the route you are going? Are you using AI prompts as well?
Yes, sir, but I'm talking about the user flow, how we can best create
Okay.
the user flow.
Okay, so maybe on my own, based on my own understanding, user flow will depend on two things. Do you want to offer users a demo first, or you want them to subscribe before they see the package? Do you want them to have a free plan? So if you can answer that, I will help you with the flow, the basic flow I might think of.
Yeah, they should have a demo. At
Okay.
least, yeah, to start out with.
Okay, so if they'll have a demo, so what you do is what I might suggest would be get a landing page. So your first flow would be user getting to your landing page, and they see maybe at the bottom, on the footer, on the header, or somewhere at the header, they will see free plans, premium plans, and maybe pricing, depending on how you want to arrange it. Then on the home screen, that's the landing page. Now you're going to sample out some products, let's say free ones, mix them up, free, premium. The premium one will have a key. That's once they get to that point, that's it. Then for those that want to use free, if you want them to use free forever, that means they can just download it and take them to their own workspace, their own dashboard, where they can. So from there, landing page, you select what you want. When you select what you want, you go to your own customization page. Then once you make your editing, you publish, or you view live, you publish. So depending on the flow chart you are using, that might be one. Then for those that want to use premium, once they click on it, you tell them to create an account. That is one, except you want everybody to create an account before they start using. If not, you tell them to create an account. Once they create the account, they add their payment details, which is it, and you verify them. Then maybe they make purchase of what they want and they start using. So it might not be that tedious. I don't think you should have a very long flow chart. That's me doing it off my head right now. I mean, if I sit down to look at your project brief, I might know better. Hello.
Thank you very much. I just wanted them to have an overview of how to start on the flow diagram.
Have I answered your question briefly or to an extent?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any other question, guys, before we wrap up? I think that is it. Itoro, Sam, Odunayo, James. Any other question, guys, before we move on?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right then.
I don't have any questions too at the moment.
Okay then. Based on your training so far, anything you would like me to respond to in terms of what you've been doing so far and you've challenges you're facing, how to navigate it? Okay, well done then. Immediately, I think at this point I'm good, and I might want to say a very big thank you for all of you for inviting me.
Thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you very much.
This has been an incredibly insightful 1 hour on behalf of the entire Cap Tech Hub community. Our Build Phase students also joined, and our Learn Phase students. I want to thank you so much for being generous with your wisdom, your insights, and most importantly, your time. Thank you for everything that you've shared. And I'm sure that all the students here, all the designers, they're living with a clearer picture of not just what, but the why and the how of a successful UX careers. Because I had some key takeaways myself. So thank you so much for joining us once
You're
again.
welcome. You're welcome. Much appreciated. Thanks for the invite.
All right, thank you guys for joining. Good night, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.